Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. Just got off of work not too long ago. It wasn't really too bad. I'm essentially just Chinese SpongeBob, and I'm just operating a grill and essentially like a little cooking station for rice and stuff like that. So it's not that bad. I'm sure it could get worse, especially on busy days, but hopefully I don't have to worry about too many of those. Although I will say this, I'm not really someone who is unwilling to work on busy days and stuff like that, because for me personally, work is called work for a reason, and there are way too many people that want to just stand around and get a paycheck. You know what I mean? They don't want to occupy themselves while they're there. And listen, I get it. That's kind of the topic that I'm on, because it's two things. It's motivation with 9 to 5s and talking about people who don't really care for 9 to 5s to begin with. I recently watched a video from somebody that I actually commented on a while ago about a prostitution, for example. And he was essentially saying, and this isn't really just me ripping on him, this is just talking about what he's talking about to begin with, which is, he essentially said that he'd rather die than deal with a 9 to 5 again. And I understand where he's coming from. And it's very interesting because I know what it's like on both ends. This is not my first 9 to 5. I have been into several positions where I was working and stuff like that before. And I was on schedule, and that could essentially be a 9 to 5, right? And I have also been in a familiar setting where I was basically in job purgatory, as you guys know, as I was making videos dang near all the time about, right? So I have this unique perspective of understanding both sides. For one, let's talk about him and his perspective, where he was talking about how he doesn't like how fake the jobs are. He doesn't like how people have two faces and they can't really say what they want, but he understands it at the same time. You can't just be politically incorrect at the job. Someone can get offended, and the establishment can, it's pretty stupid to me that people can be so pissed. Listen, I don't really care if somebody was rude to me, as a job. If I'm coming over there to eat and whatever, they're not obligated to be nice. It's etiquette, but they're not obligated to do it. It's just etiquette. The fact that people can actually get fired for it is pretty stupid to me, especially because sometimes people come there and they're acting like an arsehole. Everyone's got a limit, so it's very amusing that someone will initiate something, and then when this person pops off, the employee, then they want to try to say, "Where's your manager?" and all that crap. So it's irritating to begin with. It's irritating. But it's mainly the kind of job that you do, how complicated it is, versus the people around you. How reliable are they? The fact of the matter is, in the jobs that I was probably going to get before I got this one, I saw ratchets. So, maybe it just wasn't meant to be, and thank God if that was the case, because, listen, I know that if I was working with ratchets, it would be rough, okay? Ratchets do not do their jobs. They don't move with purpose. They drag their feet. They're not willing to just do the task, get it done, because the quicker that they get it done, the quicker that they can air quotes rest, because you don't really rest on a job. It's just, you have a lot more leeway, You don't have to move as fast to do the task. It doesn't feel like there's as much of a burden on you to just make it fast, There's a lot more, I can chill, kind of, essentially. So, in that instance, again, I sympathize. I understand where he's coming from, because, again, it's irritating when you have to work in that kind of setting, and then the people around you are freaking useless and they aren't reliable, and you're the only person just willing to do stuff simple. Because listen, the fact of the matter is, what I was doing at first, it's not like it really startled me or anything, right? It's a very simple process and stuff like that, and the machine is essentially doing the work for you and stuff like that, like the station that I'm working at. But there are people today, grown arse adults, that have so much freaking anxiety that if they see something like that, they'll lose their minds. Or if they F up, they'll lose their minds. They'll say, "Oh, I'm messing up," and they'll have panic attacks. Listen, I messed up basically, I think, twice today. I made something that I wasn't supposed to make, or I didn't follow the measurement, and the food burned a bit. But listen, the guy was kind to me. Now, I understand, listen, because like I said, this kind of goes back into what kind of people are around. He said, "Hey, listen, next time, you just make it like this," and stuff like that. And he didn't give me crap about it. But then you got instances where someone's like, "Hey, didn't you follow instructions?" and stuff like that, even though it's your first day. So again, I understand why this might, again, pull people away from 9 to 5s. But here's the problem. At the end of the day, we live in a world where an arbitrary construct that is hands down probably one of the worst mistakes that has ever been created in human history, money, currency, like, it dominates. There's no getting around it. We can hate it till we're blue in the face, but it's still here. And I have been on the other side of job purgatory, and I can tell you that, listen, it's one thing if you would have money already, okay? If you had, say, $20,000 in your account and you were jobless, you wouldn't have as much pressure on you to perform. You wouldn't have as much pressure because you're like, okay, hey, listen, I got 20K. So I have a leeway, If it's rent, I could pay rent. If, like it's gas, I can put gas in my car. There are things that I can do while I have access to that money. But obviously there is a limit. It's only 20K. It's only 20K. And yes, that's not a lot of money, especially in today's day and terms. Like, it's not that much. So you still have to get out there and make stuff happen. You have to find, work as soon as you can to maintain, your safe haven, right? But it's not having it, in my situation, right? Where you didn't have anything. And there are so many things that you want to get going, so many things that you need to get going, realistically speaking, and you can't. Not because you don't want to, but because you literally just cannot do anything because for the most part, think about it. Let's be real. What can you do in today's day and age where in order to like make money, you aren't spending it in some capacity? Whether you're spending their money on commute, whether you're spending the money on like learning a skill that you need in order to like operate at the establishment, like it's a forklift or something, you have to, the saying is true, you do have to spend money to make money. Which is the, again, paradox of the whole thing, because the only way that you can actually make money is if you had like some starting money to, begin with. Because listen, I had to like buy some shoes, I had to buy a new outfit when I went here, and thank God that I went to, say, like a freaking place that was like a thrift store, because even though it's not like they say the best quality right now, I'll obviously get better quality as time continues, but I'm not going to spend like, tons of money like on freaking pants. Like, no, it's not happening. So, a pants and a shirt, like, and shoes. Although I'm probably going to drop some money on shoes because, like, I had almost an accident today with, like, slipping because of the way that you have to, like, pull the drum out of its container and the weight shifted forward, essentially. Even though I was, like, pulling it, and so, like, the floor is slippery because it's a freaking restaurant, which is a whole other thing that I can't stand because I don't understand why restaurants don't have, like, floors with, like, more grip. Like, I think restaurants should... Like, because mopping doesn't even do anything. Mopping doesn't do anything, because there's so much grease splatter and all this crap that it's like, what the flip's the point of mopping if it's still greasy and wet and slippery? Like, just give me, like, freaking, I don't know, like, traction floors that feel like freaking gravel or something like that. I'd rather have that and, like, have places where, like, the freaking grease, like, falls into these crevices or some bull crap. I'd rather have that and, like, actually be able to have traction than, like, whatever the heck we have, because, like, the mop doesn't do jack crap. Like, the most I could compare it to is, like, if you've ever been to, like, say, like, mechanic shops where, like, it's, like, a rough mechanic shop where it's, like, the floor is just, like, it's a floor, but it's, like, I don't know, it's like, gravelly, but it's not the street, but it's basically, like, indoor street, if that makes sense. I'm an idiot the way that I'm explaining it, but that's the best way that I can word it. The point that I'm trying to get at here is this, okay? Yeah, 9 to 5 suck. They're draining and they're unmotivating, and you really don't want to be there if you really have a choice. I understand. However, there are ways to go about it, right? There are ways to go about it, and it's about motivation, number one. For example, motivation is the biggest thing. Even before, like, I was in the position that I'm in right now in terms of, like, work, even when I was, like, unemployed, there were things that I had goals, right? For me, the goal when I was unemployed, to keep my mental sanity in check, right, would be, okay, I need to do X amount of push-ups, X amount of sit-ups, and stuff like that, because that's a goal that I am consistently reaching, right? It's a mindset thing. That's a goal I'm reaching, so I'm teaching myself that, hey, listen, regardless of the fact that I'm not reaching one of the goals, I can at least accomplish this one, because I shouldn't be complaining about not finding work if I have a simple goal here that I'm consistently not doing just because of motivation. Because listen, that's going to happen with jobs too, because your motivation is obviously the money, but listen, if you don't have the motivation to come into work, the money is only going to go so far. There are just people that just say, man, F it, I don't care. And they just don't come to work. And they just don't care about the money. at a certain point. So I taught myself to, aim for a goal. So what is my goal? What's my plan, right? The goal is to stay here for as long as I can, because I was still thinking about like moving out and stuff like that. But I think now, personally, I should stay a bit longer. Not necessarily for the sake of my family. No, not really them. But I need to learn certain skills that, again, really should have been taught to me early on, like how to drive and, like maybe like get forklift certified, maybe get like security license. Not because these are things that I want to do, but the job marketing is not really safe, and so I need ways to deal with things should crap hit the fan, If I know how to drive, then there are like trucking jobs that, I can get, even if it's not necessarily like a big truck. It could just be like transporting like, basically say like a U-Haul van, essentially, like that kind of size U-Haul van. So there are, other positions that will be available to me, and there won't be so much pressure to be like, do some kind of fast food or some kind of retail. So that opens up other doors, right? So for me, my goals would be this, stay here for however many months, maybe, because like I was calculating it, right? Let's say like the end of the year. By the end of the year, if I calculate like how much money I should have, by the end of the year, somewhere around August or November, right? In theory, I should have probably like $7,000, right? Now that's obviously like, depending on like how many days they give me, because let's say that I get like part-time days or something like that, because it's supposed to be a full-time position, but you never know, right? So let's say that I get part-time position. I will have more than enough money, like with that much, to like buy a motorbike and stuff like that. So I want that. I want to learn how to drive even before then, obviously, as I'm saving up. And I want to start driving consistently, but I don't really have a car to actually use here, because no car here is mine. So, that's not really the point. So maybe what I could do is like have a buddy system, right? Where it's like someone is air quotes driving me to work, and while like I'm driving to work, I'm actually driving, and then they drive the car back. So, there could be something like that while they're teaching me. And then, what else? Like I said, get that moped so that I actually have a way to get to work, and so I don't have to rely on my folks. And certainly, last but not least, as I accumulate a bit of money, maybe get a bit more, safe haven, essentially. Then I will start, looking around for like a. It says, because I actually taught my friend just recently, and I was like, as nice as it is to pay here, I would really rather just be closer to my friend, So I straight up asked him, like, would he consider coming up here? And he said that maybe if his, like, job paid him remotely, he could, but currently right now, like, there are technically unique opportunities in Miami, too. Because, funnily enough, believe it or not, a modeling agency that I reached out to, like, months ago has gotten back to me, and they said, like, I have, like, the face for modeling, funnily enough. Which isn't really surprising, because I basically have a baby face. I really don't like facial hair, not necessarily in general, but my facial hair is freaking itchy, and so I either shave it not once, but twice a week, or in this case, now that I'm working, I shave it 3 times a week, so like every other day, right? So I could easily see, like, getting into modeling, because it's not really just enough to have like the smooth shave. You need like clear skin, and I have pretty clear skin, right? And I look young. I look way younger than people think. Like, people do not think I'm 26. People think I'm like a teenager. So, there are opportunities still in Miami, but the main thing for me would be being close to my friend. So I'm not saying that I'm going back immediately, but if I'm at here long enough, you could obviously transfer and stuff, but I don't just want to transfer because, at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is this, I'm at a place that doesn't have ratchets, I'm at a place that doesn't have ratchets, and the last thing I'd want to do is go to a freaking store that has ratchets. I know what to do here, but every establishment operates differently and stuff like that, and you just don't want to, deal with stuff. So yeah, it's just confusing, but that's essentially the plan. You have to have a goal. Like, for example, the goal isn't necessarily staying at the establishment. The goal is what you use the money while you're staying there for. So for me, I'm not really going to be spending money. Like, my first initial paychecks I have to, like, spend some of it because I need to get no slip shoes, right? But good ones that actually have, like, cushioning so that when I'm on my feet, it's limiting the amount of pain that, like, you're going to be in, because you're going to be in pain, like, when you're just on your feet constantly moving around for, like, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, right? So you're going to be in pain. But, remember, you have to think about how are you going to get out of this position, or how are you going to find ways to, like, find skills that can get you money in spite of that. And that's my freaking laundry, but I'm trying to continue back with this video. The point that I'm trying to say is this. It's a mindset thing. It's a motivation thing. And I know that, you don't really want to punch a clock and stuff like that, obviously. But you have to find a way to get into this mindset where, how can I maximize this position, for, like, all it's worth? And the way that you do it is to get skills that will also make you money when you're not working. And then maybe you can turn those into, like, what you do full time. Because the way that I plan on doing it, like I said, is room. I'm fine living in a room. I don't need a full house. I really don't. I'm fine sharing a kitchen because, listen, I can't use the kitchen all the time, right? And that's fine because, listen, I could live with my brother, and that man is my brother. He may not be brother, like, of blood, but we all know that blood is thinner than water, so it doesn't mean jack crap. So, I wouldn't mind, like, boarding with my brother, for example. I do know that you need your space, and I think that it's obviously easier when you have an instance of, like, both parties are working. That's kind of what I was scared about, like, if I would have went over to him when I didn't have a job. But my thing is this, like, if we did go, this is just like an if, right? We could both, again, like, rent a room in one house, and that way we both know each other, so, we're sharing the space, but we obviously still have our own space. Because my thing is I'm trying to maximize how much money I'm making and retaining. It's not enough to make money if you can't retain it. You have to have the discipline to not retain it. And I don't intend on spending basically a penny. The most I might buy is a Nintendo Switch, and that's mainly because I'm bored out of my mind up here. I don't have any consoles. I don't have anything. So I literally just have phone and YouTube, and it's pretty boring, but it's something I tolerate. Like I said, I've dealt with worse. I've dealt with much worse. I've dealt with situations where I basically had no electricity at all, barely any running water. I have done with being bored out of my mind. So it's not the worst, but I would also like something. So that's essentially the game plan. And that's how, like, I'm keeping myself, straight while I work. I'm over here calculating how many hours it's going to take me to reach this goal, how many days, how many months, and stuff like that. The goal is to just do something that you're not really going to want to do to get to what you do want to do. You don't have to see the 9 to 5 as, like, the end all be all. But you do have to understand that if you want to get out of that position, you have to be willing to put in time in something else. Like I said, I have a passion for robotics and AI because I wouldn't mind making companion dolls. But in order to get that, I need certain robotics and AI classes. Not college. I'm not going to college, but the actual tech classes themselves. And those things are going to cost money. And I can obviously use the job that I have to get that. Not now, because that's still, like, a goal that's going to be a bit off, in my opinion. Maybe, a year or 2, 3 years off. But what I do need right now, again, is the stability. So I need to have my own way to travel. I need my own way to, have backup jobs in the form of, like, security license, driver's license, etc. So that's the main plan right now. Always have goals that are reachable, guys. Don't, like, try and reach for something crazy. That's why I'm not saying, my goal is to, like, have $50,000. Like, some people have insane goals. So it's about having goals that are actually attainable and reasonable to reach. That's how, like, you can keep your mindset in these instances for 9 to 5s. Because, like I said, I know it sucks. I know the wage cage sucks. It's not like this is what you want to do. My feet hurt and stuff like that. Again, it's not my first time working. I've worked many, many times. But still, you have to do what you don't want to do to get to what you do want to do. It's not nice. Again, I don't like currency. Currency is just an arbitrary construct. Has no real value. It's literally just backed by faith. Like, it's the people who actually have money back up their money with assets. They know what really has value, and it's not money. So, like I said, I don't like it, but there is no getting around it. Unless, again, you're willing to check out. And I am willing to do that, but in order to do that, you do need the money. So, like, the land isn't going to buy itself if you wanted to, like, buy land or an RV or whatever. So, in order to check out, you do still need it. So, you kind of have to be real. But I think I'm going to end it here. I know it was kind of long-winded. It was all over the place, but in a very positive space right now because I'm happy that I can work. It's not that working is the end all be all or puts a smile on my face, but it's nice to know that you're going to be compensated, for a task. Even if the task itself is something unpleasant, it's not unpleasant. I've worked in worse instances, but I am just happy that, I have something. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here, guys. Thank you for listening. Hang in there, guys. I'm going to say this again. There is life beyond your pain. Okay? There's life beyond your pain. Okay? I'm not the best person out here. I don't have it all together. And no, I'm not some life guru. And I would never use my freaking story as some kind of, I'm a life coach now or some bullcrap. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if you hang around long enough, I'm not going to guarantee that things will get better, but they can. It did for me, I can't say that, it happened quick. It took months for it to happen, but it did happen. So try and hang in there too, guys. Hang in there. And if you can't, by all means, please reach out. I'm more than willing to talk to you guys because you guys aren't alone in this stuff. Your pain is not as unique as you think. And if you're just willing to reach out to other people, you'll understand that they're going through it too. And maybe just talking to those people can let you know that you don't have to go through it alone. But thank you for listening again. God bless. I'll see you guys next time.